Hi everybody. Today we're going to start a new unit in our grammar books. We're going to go backwards to unit 17. We're not going to go to the very beginning where the story is, and of course you can read the story and do the questions if you like for extra practice, but we are actually going to begin on page 232. So go to 232 of your books and I will share my screen with you. There we go. Okay, here we go. Today we're going to learn about nouns and quantifiers, excuse me. You already know about nouns, so a lot of this information in the beginning is going to be about something that you already know. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit of a review. And when I say that, I'm talking about proper nouns and common nouns. I'm pretty sure we did talk about that. I know we did last semester at least. So on page 232, we're going to talk about nouns and quantifiers. Quantifiers are words that tell how much, how many, okay? So when we go to the top of page 232, we have a noun, we have a little count, we have two kinds of nouns. We have count nouns and we have non-count nouns. A count noun is anything that you can count, like books, one book, two books, three books. You can count chairs, one chair, two chair, three chairs. Anything that you can count is a count noun. Non-count nouns, and the word non means no, so non-count nouns are things that you cannot count. For example, air, water, gas. Here they have money, and you're thinking, well, I can count money, but the word money in general is a non-count noun. You can count bills, you can count coins, but when we say the word money, we mean that as a non-count noun, money in general, okay? All right, so a non-count noun can be plural, a count noun can be plural or singular. When it's plural, it will normally have an S at the end of it, okay, depending on, you know, the spelling can change and there are spelling rules in your book. And when it's singular, it's followed by the verb is. When it's plural, it's followed by the verb are. In a non-count noun, you can only use the verb is, and you never add S to the end of the noun itself. Okay, so here we have one count noun. One capsule is in New York. Two capsules are in New York. Count nouns. You can add an S. It can be singular or plural. Non-count noun. Money is inside. You cannot put are because this can never be plural. So it's always followed by the verb is when it's a to-be verb. And there's no S on it. Okay. When we talk about quantifiers, we are talking about words that show how much or how many. So here are the words that we use for count nouns. The noun they're using as an example is coins. We can say it holds some coins, enough coins, a lot of coins, a few coins, several coins, many coins, or a great many coins, which means many is a lot, a great many is a whole lot, okay? In negative, we can use some of these words again. For example, enough, you see enough here, a lot of, you see a lot of up here, and many, which you also see here. But the word any, we can only use for negative questions. So it doesn't hold, here we have the negative, it doesn't hold any coins. It doesn't hold enough coins, it doesn't hold a lot of coins, it doesn't hold many coins. And when we ask a question, you'll notice that again, the only word that is here that is not in the other section is the word any. The word any is only, again, I'll repeat, that word any is only used with negative or questions. So we can ask, does it hold any coins? Does it hold enough coins? Does it hold a lot of coins? Does it hold many coins? Okay? The main thing to remember here is that the word any is only used for negative and questions. Excuse me. The rest of these, of course, you have to study. When we move over to the non-count nouns, the things that we cannot count, using quantifiers, which again are the words that show how much or how many, these are the words that we can use. And you'll notice that many of these are the same as what we use with count nouns. Some are different, and I will point those out to you. So with a non-count noun, we can say it holds some money, it holds enough money, a lot of money, a little money, and a great deal of money. Some, enough, a lot of can be used with either non-count nouns or count nouns, as you see in the chart. However, when we use the words a little, we can only use a little with a non-count noun. Okay? With a count noun, we use few. So we use a few coins, for example, with a count noun. However, we use a little money with a non-count noun. And when we go down here to a great deal of, we can say a great deal of money with a non-count noun, but we cannot say a great many deal or a great much deal, okay? Only a great deal of money. All right, and with a negative, then we also have the word any. It doesn't hold any money. It doesn't hold enough money. It doesn't hold a lot of money. It doesn't hold much money. And here's the difference as well between the count noun and the non-count noun. With a count noun, we must use the word many coins. However, with a non-count noun, we're going to use much money. And you'll notice that the rest of these, any, enough, a lot of, are the same words that we use with the count nouns. Again, even in a situation with non-count nouns, the word any is only used for negatives and questions. Okay, you're going to have to study this, please. I can explain this to you and you can go over the video again if you don't quite understand, but these words have to be studied. That's all that there is to it. All right, the next part in the grammar notes, you should be able to recognize most of this because if you had writing one last semester, we did this. Okay, so this is a repeat. Here we talk about proper nouns and common nouns, and you should already know that a proper noun is the name of a specific place or thing, person. And here we go. Proper nouns are the names of particular people, places, or things. For example, anybody's name. Here they have Albert Einstein, they have Columbus, they have Emily. You could have Joe, Maria, Michael. It doesn't matter. If it's somebody's name, it is a proper noun and it is capitalized. Proper nouns always have capital letters, okay? The name of places, and I'm talking about the name. I'm not talking about a place like the seashore, the park, the ocean, the college. They're just common nouns. But if you're talking about specific places like New York, Germany, Europe, Vesuvius, they are proper nouns and they begin with capital letters. The same thing with things. These are specific things. Coca-Cola is a proper noun because it is the name of a specific type of soda. So it starts with capital letters. The Statue of Liberty, again, is a proper noun because this is the name of a specific statue. Okay. It will also tell you that proper nouns are usually singular and capitalize the first letter of each word in a proper noun. And I told you that. I know it's saying each word. That can be confusing because that's not always the case. For example, you see the Statue of Liberty. The little words like the of. If you had N, A, it would be the same thing. They are not capitalized. It's just like when you write a title. Okay. Let's go to common nouns. So common nouns are nouns that can refer to anybody, people, places, things, but they're not by their name. So we can say, oh, that woman is my teacher. Woman is a common noun because we're not giving the name of the woman. If I said Professor Harris is my teacher, then Professor Howard would be a proper noun and would have capital letters because that is the name of the person. So, for example, people, just people, scientist, teacher, explorer, could be anything, doctor, lawyer. Places such as city, country, continent, volcano, could be ocean, mountains, anything at all. If it's not the actual name of something, then it is a common noun. I'm sorry, here are some examples. So look at people. Example, Albert Einstein was a famous scientist. Albert Einstein, proper noun because this is the name of a person. Scientist, there's more than one scientist, of course, and in this case, it's just a common noun. Places, he left his country in 1933. If this said he left Germany in 1933, we would have to make a capital letter for Germany. But just the word country itself is a common noun, and there is no capital letter. And in this one, the Statue of Liberty is a popular monument, okay? Statue of Liberty, the important words are capitalized, proper noun, but the word monument is not a proper noun, so there's no capital letter. It tells you that common nouns can be singular or plural. For example, the time capsule is in New York because this is singular, it's followed by the verb is, or how many time capsules are there? And this is plural. It's a common noun with a plural, so it's followed by the word are. It will also tell you do not capitalize the first letter of a common noun. Einstein was a scientist. You'll notice that this is not capitalized. However, if this happened to be the first word in a sentence, you would still capitalize it because it's the first word in the sentence. If this said scientists are very intelligent people, the word scientists would be capital. I'm saying scientists with an S at the end, okay? But if it's in the middle of the sentence, at the end of the sentence, any other place in the sentence, there's no capital letter. All right, so I believe that this is more of a review for you from last semester. That was page 232. Let's go to the next page. Okay, this continues. All right. And we already talked about this, but this is further explanation. Common nouns can be count nouns or non-count nouns. We already talked about that. So count nouns refer to people. Why do I feel like I'm on? I don't know why this. Excuse me, just 1 minute, please. All right, let's continue. Common nouns can be count nouns or non-count nouns. Count nouns refer to people, places, or things that you can count separately. I already explained that. 1 book, 2 books, 3 books, such as people, 1 teacher, 20 students, places, 1 country, 5 cities, things, 1 bookcase, 100 books. Here are some examples. Mr. Lee is my favorite teacher. No capital letter. He's lived in 3 different countries. Here, this is plural, which is fine. He reads more than 50 books a year. These are all common nouns, so they can be plural, okay? And that's what it's telling you here. A count noun can be singular or plural. He read 1 book. She read 2 books. They take singular or plural verbs because they can be singular or plural. So if it's a singular count noun like this, The book is new, but the newspapers are not. The newspapers are old, excuse me. The word book is followed by is because it's singular. The word newspapers is followed by are because it's plural. And you can use a, an, or the before singular count nouns. You can use the before both singular and plural nouns. There's a doll and an electric shaver in the box. So here we have a singular count noun with a because it starts with a D, which is consonant. Here we have the word N with a singular count noun, electric shaver. It's the word N because electric begins with an E, which is a vowel. And we have in the box. This is a specific box, and that's why we're using the. And as a matter of fact, our next lesson will be on the AN, the next unit that we study. And here, the box contains the objects described. The in front of a singular count noun. We're using the because it is a specific box. Contains the objects, plural. We can still use the, and we're using the here because these are specific objects. Which objects are they? They are the objects I described, okay? And then it goes on to say non-count nouns. So these are the things that you cannot count. Refer to things that you cannot count separately. For example, you can say rice, but you cannot say one rice, two rices. And here are some categories of non-count nouns. We have abstract words. These are things that you can't feel or see, like education, love, time. You can go on to say things like, fear, surprise, things like that. Activities, things that we do, like exploring, farming, sailing, okay? You might be thinking, but these are verbs, aren't they? These are what we call gerunds. So they look like verbs, but they're actually nouns with an ing ending. And you will study this next semester in level 3. Farming is a difficult occupation. Okay, remember that these are non-count nouns. Courses of study like art, history, math, English, psychology, any of those types of things. Math was my favorite subject in school. And foods, corn, milk, and this is not all food, these are just foods that you can't count. So corn, milk, rice, bread, and again, there's no S at the end. They grow rice, but they don't grow corn, okay? Fabrics are materials like cotton, silk, wool, nylon. That sweater is made of cotton. So all of these words which are non-count nouns are always used as singular nouns, which means they always be followed by is or was, okay? And no a, an, or the in front of them. Here's some common non-count nouns. And it says some of them do not fit into categories, meaning we can't say they're abstract words or activities or courses of study or foods or fabrics. They just do not fit into any of these categories: equipment, furniture, homework, information, news, and work. So these are also treated as these are non-count nouns, all right? So you can't put a, n, or the, or you can't put a or n in front of them, but you can put the in front of them. Today's homework was very easy. The information in this article is interesting. The news is on TV now. Let's watch it, okay? They're followed by the to-be verb in the singular form, either is or was. And most non-count nouns have no plural forms, okay? So she bought a lot of rice. We cannot say she bought a lot of rices. He drank a lot of milk. We cannot say he drank a lot of milks, okay? No S at the end. And again, it repeats that they take singular verbs and pronouns. Archaeology is not, we can't say are, we can't put an S at the end. Archaeology is an interesting subject. It was his favorite subject. Seems like a lot, right? I wish I could put more like examples on the board for you. I'm trying to give you other examples as I speak, but I know that just is really difficult. All right, let's go to quantifiers, the words that show how much or how many. Quantifiers are words or phrases such as some or few that show quantity. Quantity would be how much or how many. So you use quantifiers, you use these words that show you how much or how many with, it tells you right here, with nouns to express how much or how many or how much. Okay. Some quantifiers go only with count nouns. For example, the word many, you can only use that with count nouns. You cannot use it with non-count nouns. So you can't say many milk, many money, many snow, many rain, okay? This is only for count nouns. Many people worked on the capsule. Other quantifiers go only with non-count nouns. And actually, I don't know why. Oh, okay, sorry, never mind. For example, they did a great deal of work. This is non-count. It took a lot of people to finish. This is count. It took a lot of time, non-count. All right. So in this case, we have, let's go back to this. Other quantifiers go only with non-count nouns. So a great deal of only goes with non-count nouns. They did a great deal of work. He drank a great deal of milk. And then it tells you that some words, a few of these quantifiers, a few of these words to tell you how much or how many can go with both count and non-count nouns. And an example of that would be a lot of. A lot of can be used for both. It took a lot of people to finish. People is a count noun. We can use a lot of with it. It took a lot of time. Time is a non-count noun, but we can use a lot of with that as well. Okay, let's go on to the next page. All right. So here we have to think about if what we're saying or writing is affirmative or negative. So affirmative, of course, is the opposite of negative, which would be not or no, right? In affirmative sentences, use these quantifiers, use these words that say how much or how many. Many, a lot of, a great many, which means a whole lot of, a great deal of, same thing, it means a whole lot of. This is for a large quantity, okay? We have, you can say many coins, you can say a lot of coins, you can say a great many jobs, and you'll notice that both coins and jobs are count nouns. Look here at the non-count nouns. We can still say a lot of money, but we can't say many money. We can say much money, okay? Like he doesn't make too much money. We have a great many jobs. Instead of a great many for non-count nouns, we have to say a great deal of work. Okay. Let's look at some and several. So the first thing, the money, a lot of, many, a lot of, a great many, a great deal of, this is for large quantities, a large amount. But when you look at some and several, we use this for a moderate quantity. That means something that's not very large, not very small, somewhere in the middle. So we can use some for both non-count and count. We can say some socks or some wool. Okay. Some books, some milk. We can use this for both. But the word several can only be used for a count noun. Several books. We cannot use several for a non-count noun, but we can still use some. So some wool, some paper. We use enough to mean that we have what we need, okay? So if Mrs. Jones sends her son to the store to buy milk, she has to give him money. If the milk costs $3, she has to give him at least $3. That will be enough money for the milk. If she gives him $2.50, that is not enough money for the milk. So enough is what you need. It's not under what you need. Sometimes it can be over, but never under what you need. So we have enough apples, that's a count noun. Enough rice, that's a non-count noun. So we can use the word enough for both count nouns and non-count nouns. Look at a few and a little, because these are different for count nouns and non-count nouns. For count nouns, we say a few years, a few books, a few chairs, a few people, a few pencils. If it's a count noun, we can say a few. For a non-count noun, we cannot say a few. We have to say a little time, a little money, a little milk, a little snow. All right, so there's a difference there. And I will point this out to you. However, I don't think anything like this is in your test, but just to point it out to you, sometimes you hear a few and a little, sometimes you hear few and little without the word a in front of it. And actually, few and a few actually means something different. A little and little means something different. So this will tell you that few without the a means not many, and little without the a means not much. Few and little often mean not enough or less than expected. For example, we had little time to complete the project. That means we almost didn't have enough time. Without the a, we had little time. But with the a, we had a little time to complete the project. This means we had some time, but not a lot. With the a little time. We had some time, but not a lot. With the a. Without the a, we had little time. We almost didn't have enough time. So little time is less time than a little time. Okay. I don't see them using that with few, but it would be the same thing. And again, nothing to worry about there. It's not a big deal for you right now, all this, but everything else we learned is very important, okay? It tells you here, just for your information, that sometimes people use much instead of a lot of in affirmative sentences. This is very formal and not common. They spent a lot of money, which is very common. You hear a lot of people say they spent a lot of money. They spent much money. This is also correct, but it's not as common. So you will hear they spent a lot of money, much more than you will hear they spent much than you spent money. They spent much money. I'm sorry. Sometimes these explanations just get too long. There's no break. You know, in class, there's a little break because you're asking me questions or I'm putting examples on the board. And I know even for you, there's no break. And that's why I say, rather than tire yourself out, you know, pay attention, do the best you can. If you get tired or bored or whatever, just stop for a little bit and then go back to it, okay? That's the beauty of the recordings. It also goes on to tell you that in informal conversation, very casual conversation, we sometimes use lots of instead of a lot of, and I'm sure you have heard this with American people speaking. So we sometimes use lots of instead of a lot of with both plural count nouns and non-count nouns. For example, you might hear people say, we have lots of coins, we have lots of time. We have lots of coins, count noun. We have lots of money, non-count noun, right? So you can use it for both. And again, this is in casual conversation. If you're writing something, especially anything academic, do not use lots of, use a lot of. And we'll tell you that here, that in writing you can use a lot of and lots of informal writing. So this is like a text message, an email to a friend, a letter to a friend, but not when you're doing anything that is academic or for business. People do not use these quantifiers in very formal writing. So here, this is very casual, okay? It's not formal. The Westinghouse time capsule contains a lot of everyday objects. That's funny because they didn't mention here. They're actually substituting a lot of and many. And more formal, the Westinghouse time capsule contains many everyday objects. You should use many here. Unless I'm missing something, I don't see comparing a lot of and many. They're comparing a lot of and lots. Okay, but this is important, that if you're writing something formal, instead of a lot of or lots of, you would use much or many. In negative statements and in questions, these differ. Okay, we talked about how you can use many, a lot of, and enough, even in affirmative statements. However, in negative statements and questions, the word any is added. And you cannot use the word any with affirmative statements. But in negative statements, you can use any of these, or in questions. Many, a lot of, any, and enough. And this is for count nouns, okay? So there weren't many students in class. Count noun, students. Did you put any seeds in a capsule? Count noun. We used any here because this is a question. There weren't enough books. Count noun with books. And it tells you to use much, which is different than many, right? You can only use many with count nouns. You can only use much with non-count nouns. However, these are the same. A lot of, any, enough, enough. We didn't have much time to study. Time is non-count noun, so we have to use much. Did you put any rice in the capsule? So we have to use any here. This is a question. And there wasn't enough paper. Paper, because we're not saying piece of paper, we're only saying paper, is considered a non-count noun. Okay. All right. This is information if you want to look up any of these things: irregular plural nouns, non-count nouns, categories of proper nouns, spelling rules for regular plural nouns, or capitalization rules. Here are all the pages where you can find that information. Okay. All right. And once again, if you have any questions, if there's something you can't understand, you can email me. And I mentioned yesterday in our live Zoom meeting that if you want to have a live Zoom meeting with me, just one-on-one, to help you understand something, that's fine. You just let me know and I will arrange it. All right? All right, let's go to the next page. So here we have some exercises. We're not going to do all these exercises. We only have one full week of school, and we still have quite a lot to do. So that means next week is our only full week of school left. So we have to skip some things. I'm just going to give you the most important things, okay? So we're going to skip this exercise. We will go to this exercise. This is noun and verb agreement. And this is an important exercise because you have to think if the noun is a count noun, if it's a non-count noun. So does that mean that it needs a singular verb, or can it have a singular verb or a plural verb? Is it capitalized? Is it not capitalized? Is it a proper noun? Is it a common noun? All the things we talked about, you're going to have to cover in this exercise. So we're going to try some of this together, and then I'll give you the rest for homework. One day, it wasn't this week, I think it was last week, a lot of you said, I asked a question, who was doing all their homework, and I don't think anybody raised their hand that they were doing all their homework, maybe just a couple of you, but most of you said no, you were not doing all your homework. I know we're not in school. I know I can't check it. But once again, the homework is to help you especially since when I'm doing these explanations, you can't ask me questions while I'm doing the explanations. But the homework is to help you. When you have trouble with something with homework, you can ask me about it and I can explain it to you and try to clear it up so you understand. So this is people who went to Pompeii. It says Emily and James, well, they're going to Pompeii. Emily and James are planning a trip to Pompeii. Pompeii, of course, is in Italy. They are checking a travel website for some tips on packing. Complete these tips. Use the correct form of the words in parentheses, okay? And if you need help with non-count nouns, you can go to page 456, Appendix 7 in the back of your book. And you can do that while you're doing this homework. But we're going to do some of this right now. So we have this piece of writing here. There are blanks, and under each blank you will see one word, two words, okay? So for example, the first one is done for you, and under the blank you see foot and you see need. The answer is your feet need your help. Feet is the plural of foot. So they're talking about both of them. So it's your feet need. There's no S on need because now this is not third person singular, right? Feet need. Your feet need your help. Remember, with third person singular, he, she, it, you're going to have an S at the end, but this is not third person singular. Then we have good, blank, a must. And under this, we have shoe and we have be. Your feet need your help. Good shoe, just one? No, it's going to be two. You have 2 feet, you need 2 shoes. Good shoes, the to be verb form, this is simple present tense. Shoes is plural, so your good shoes are a must. I hope you understand that. Okay, this should not be difficult for you. Remember your purpose here. You'll, meaning you will, be walking for, now they only have one word and it's hour. So you have to consider these things. Is this count noun or a non-count noun? This is a count noun. We can count hours. We can say 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Because this is a count noun, we can use is or are. Is this singular or plural? It's singular. We're going to say for an hour, okay? Because this is singular, we need a or n. Because the H in hour is silent, you don't hear it. You really hear the O-U-R. This is a vowel sound. We have to have A-N, for an hour. You'll be walking for an hour to see this is ruin. Continue reading. Of this ancient civilization. The word ruin should be plural. To see the ruins, S at the end, of this ancient civilization. And those, the word those, shows us that the next word, which is going to be a noun, is going to be plural. Otherwise it would say that. This is those, which is plural. Streets, S. And because streets is plural, the to be verb form is going to be are. And those streets are very, very old, almost 2,000, then we have year, old. 2,000, of course, makes year plural, almost 2,000 years old, okay? So this is what this says. We'll repeat it. Your feet need your help. Good shoes are a must. Remember your purpose here. You'll be walking for an hour to see the ruins of this ancient civilization. And those streets are very, very old, almost 2,000 years old. All right. So do the rest of this for homework, and then I will put the answers up on, I'll put the answers up on Monday. Okay. Do the rest of this. All right. let's go to the next page. Next exercise that you're going to do is this one, and this is multiple choice. So all you have to do here is circle the correct word. And again, you have to consider count nouns, non-count nouns. Okay. And if there's any proper nouns in here. Okay. You only have a choice of two things. It really shouldn't be too hard. Let's look at the first one, which is done for you. There were so, and the word so means very, right? There were so many people at the ruins today. We had to circle the word many because people is a count noun. The word many is used for count noun. The word much is used for non-count noun. So there were so many people at the ruins today. Was it some kind of special occasion or something? James says, I don't think so. I heard the guide say it's the most popular tourist attraction in Italy. And Emily says, and I can understand why. I've never seen so would you say much or many? We won't know until we finish the sentence. I've never seen so many or much fascinating things. So things is the noun, and that's what we have to look at. Things is plural here because this is a count noun. One thing, two things, three things. Because this is a count noun, you have to use many. I've never seen so many fascinating things. That's what you would circle there. Okay. All right, you do the rest. Let's just do the first one here. My feet hurt. We did a lot of walking today or much walking today. We're going to say a lot of walking today. All right. And then you do the rest of this. And again, we will check this for homework. I'll have the answers up on Monday. Let's go to the next page. This is a continuation at the top of the exercise that you're going to do for homework. This is editing, so this is one more thing that I'm going to give you here for exercises. This is an email that Emily wrote to her family about her trip to Pompeii. It says that there were 15 mistakes in the use of nouns and quantifiers. Remember that quantifiers are the words like some, enough, much, many, a few, a little, okay? So there are 15 mistakes in the use of nouns and quantifiers and in the use of verb and pronoun agreement. The first mistake is already corrected. Find and correct 14 more. So let's look at the one that they corrected. Hi, everyone. James and I got back from Pompeii a few days ago. We're going to use a with few. We used few here because days is a count noun. Remember, a few is used for count nouns. A little is used for non-count nouns. When you do the exercises, you might find that you have to go back to the explanation in the book on pages, well, we just looked at now, on pages 232 to 234, okay? So James and I got back from Pompeii a few days ago. We bought a little souvenirs. So you have to look at the noun, which is souvenirs. Is this count or non-count? Souvenirs, we can count souvenirs. As a matter of fact, this is already plural. One souvenir, two souvenirs, three souvenirs. So not little, but few. We bought a few souvenirs, which I'll mail to you all very soon. Okay, do the rest of these. We just found another one, so that means you have to find 13 more. All right? And the last thing I want you to do here, you can skip all of this. Skip all of this. Go to the review and do the review here, okay, in the first part. You're going to just pick the correct word that fits into the space. Where would you like to go today? We only have a little time, a few time, a great deal of time. Okay, I'm going to let you figure out the answer to that. In the second part, they give you words under blank. You have to put the words together with the verb. So just for example, we'll do this one together. essential include different kinds. They're going to make a time capsule here. A time capsule is like, it could be a box that you put things in. So if we were making a time capsule today, we would have a box and we would put things in it that represent the year 2020. For example, we might put a face mask in that box because of the coronavirus situation that we're in. And then in a time capsule, somebody, if we're still alive, God bless you, I'm sure you will be. I don't know if I will be in 20 years, but let's say in 20, 25 years, you decide to open the time capsule, and then you have all these memories to look back on, okay? So they're making a time capsule, and they're deciding what to put in it. So music is followed by the to be verb. Music is non-count. You cannot count it, so it has to be followed by is. Music is. Music is essential. The music is going to begin with a capital letter, not because it's a proper noun, because it's not, but because it is the first word in the sentence. Okay, so you do the rest of these. And here in the third part of this page, we have an exercise, which is a paragraph. You have to find and correct 10 mistakes. One night in June. Well, this should be easy enough because June is a proper noun. So this should be a capital letter, the J. One night in June, capital letter, 1400 or 1400 or 1400. Years ago, years is a common noun that should not be a capital letter. A volcano erupted in today's El Salvador and buried a village of the great Mayan civilization. Okay, so everything else there is okay. We found 2 mistakes. You have to find 8 more. Okay, when you're done that, I'm not putting answers to this. As usual, this has answers in the back of the book, and the answers here are on page 479. Okay, that is all for this lesson. Have this homework done by Monday. And then on Monday, you're going to have your last lesson for the grammar book, which is going to be on a and the, and that is a very important lesson. We did not have time to finish every lesson we were supposed to finish. Let me stop this. I'll start again. We did not have time this semester to finish every lesson we had to finish in the grammar book. There were really just a few, not many, just a few, 2 or 3 that we did not get to do. And that's because we had a whole nother week, an extra week of spring break. So we did miss a week, and it was not added to the end of the semester, but that's not a big deal. Hopefully you will all get, you will all be able to advance to level 3. I can't guarantee that. A lot of that is going to depend on the paragraphs that you write, and of course your grades and your tests, and your timed writing assignments. But if you do advance to level 3, all your professors know, we all know what happened this semester. So there will be some consideration that we were not able to finish what we had to do. It's not just our class, it will be most, if not all of your classes, okay? And I want to talk to you a little bit about the writing assignments. I was very disappointed to find that not a few of you, but most of you, had cheated on the writing assignments because you copied words from the internet. And I explained to you the first day of class. I also talked about it when we had your first assignment for your paragraph when we were in class, and it's written in your syllabus, that in the United States, students simply cannot copy words from any source, straight from the source, the internet, another book, an encyclopedia, a telephone, anything, you just can't. That's completely against the rules. Many colleges, if a student will do this repeatedly, the student will be asked to leave the college and can no longer continue with their education there. So it's a very important thing to know that you cannot do that. Those of you who did it, of course, failed that assignment. And I had warned that if you do it again, you'll probably just fail the class. So please understand that, okay? All right. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye, have a good weekend.